Jikook, did you notice this? Jungkook protecting Jimin throughout the entire rehearsal, shushing face. Sometimes the most meaningful moments are not the loudest ones. They are quiet, subtle, and easy to miss if you are not paying attention. And that is exactly what many fans noticed during this particular rehearsal moment involving Jungkook and Jimin. At first glance, everything looked normal. The members were practicing as usual, focusing on their choreography and preparing for a performance. The atmosphere was professional, energetic, and filled with the usual concentration that BTS brings to every rehearsal. But then, something interesting began to stand out. Throughout the rehearsal, Jungkook seemed unusually attentive to Jimin. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that would immediately catch everyone's attention. Instead, it was subtle, almost instinctive, the kind of behavior that only becomes obvious when you watch the moment more than once. Fans quickly began pointing it out. Whenever Jimin moved across the stage, Jungkook's eyes seemed to follow him for a split second longer than expected. It was almost like Jungkook was constantly making sure Jimin was okay, checking his position, or making sure everything around him was safe. And once you notice it, you cannot unsee it. There were several small moments during the rehearsal that made fans raise their eyebrows. For example, during one transition in the choreography, the members needed to move quickly into their next positions. As everyone shifted, Jungkook subtly adjusted his movement so that he was closer to Jimin. It didn't interrupt the choreography at all, but it created a small protective space around him. It was the kind of adjustment that experienced performers do without thinking. But fans noticed. Another moment happened when Jimin briefly stepped back during practice. While the other members were still focused on their marks, Jungkook instinctively glanced toward Jimin as if checking whether he was comfortable or needed space. It lasted less than a second, but in that second, many fans felt they saw something genuine. Because these small gestures didn't look rehearsed. They looked natural, almost automatic, and that is what made people talk about it. Some fans described it as Jungkook being protective. Others simply called it caring behavior between two people who have spent years performing together. After all, BTS members are known for looking out for each other during performances, especially when choreography becomes physically demanding. But the moments between Jungkook and Jimin felt slightly different. For example, during another section of the rehearsal, Jimin momentarily lost balance while transitioning between steps. It wasn't serious at all, and he quickly recovered like the professional performer he is. But Jungkook noticed immediately. His reaction was quick. His attention shifted toward Jimin almost instantly, as if he had been subconsciously monitoring him the entire time. It was not dramatic. He didn't rush over or stop the rehearsal. Instead, he simply adjusted his position slightly closer, almost like a quiet safety net. And that tiny movement spoke volumes. Fans who rewatched the rehearsal clip started pointing out more and more moments like this. Small glances, subtle adjustments, tiny reactions that lasted only fractions of a second. Yet when you connect them all together, a pattern starts to appear. It looks like Jungkook was consistently aware of Jimin's presence throughout the entire rehearsal. And this is where things became even more interesting. Because Jungkook himself is known for being extremely focused during practice. He is often described as someone who immerses himself completely in the choreography, paying attention to every detail of his performance. So when fans noticed that he still seemed aware of Jimin's movements while maintaining perfect focus on the routine, many found it fascinating. How could he do both at the same time? The answer might simply be familiarity. After years of performing together, the BTS members understand each other's timing and movements almost instinctively. They know where each person will be on stage, even without looking. But sometimes, familiarity also creates a deeper sense of awareness. And that awareness can show up in the smallest gestures. There was another moment that particularly caught fans' attention. During a brief pause in the rehearsal, the members relaxed slightly while preparing to restart the choreography. In that moment, Jimin stepped slightly closer to Jungkook while talking with the others. Without even looking directly at him, Jungkook shifted his stance just enough to make space. It was subtle, but it looked comfortable, like a natural habit. Moments like these are difficult to explain, but they are easy to feel. Fans often say that the bond between BTS members is one of the reasons their performances feel so genuine. They trust each other on stage. They support each other during demanding routines. And they constantly watch out for one another without needing to say anything. That kind of teamwork only develops after years of performing together. And perhaps that is what fans were really seeing during this rehearsal. Not just protection, but connection. A silent understanding between two performers who know each other's rhythms almost by heart. Still, many fans could not help but smile at the idea of Jungkook quietly watching out for Jimin. Because the moments looked so natural, so effortless. And sometimes, the smallest actions reveal the most about a relationship. A quick glance, a small step closer, a quiet adjustment to make someone else comfortable. None of these actions are dramatic on their own, but together, they create a story. And that story is exactly what fans love discovering. Whether it's simply two bandmates supporting each other during a demanding rehearsal or something deeper in their friendship, these little details are what make watching BTS so interesting. Because every time you rewatch a clip, you might notice something new. Another glance, another quiet moment, another subtle interaction that says more than words ever could. So the next time you watch this rehearsal clip, pay close attention. Look at Jungkook, look at Jimin, and see if you notice the same thing that fans around the world started talking about. Because once you see it, you might realize that Jungkook wasn't just practicing the choreography. He might have been quietly watching over Jimin the entire time. Shushing face sparkles,